Welcome to the Green Transition Show with me, Dr. Francis Tuokun. Our guest is Tracy, who is based in London, United Kingdom. Today, we'll be talking about fashion waste. Who pays for fashion waste? The fashion waste that is generated across the world. Who pays for it? To help us answer this question is Tracy, as I said. Welcome to the show, Connor.
Thank you for having me, Francis.
Yeah, it's good to have you on the show. It's been a while. It has really been a while.
Yes, you were my tutor during my master's degree in green economy, so it's great to see you again.
Yes, it's very great to see you. As he said, Tracy was my graduate student at Bournemouth University in the UK years ago. I think five or so years ago. I think it was 2021.
That's
Yes.
it.
Yeah. So, and today he's on my show. I'm so very proud of your progress over the years. And today, it's good to have you on the show. If you are new to the channel on YouTube, kindly subscribe. It's free. It's 100% free. Subscribe to our channel, The Green Transition Show on YouTube, so that we'll continue to bring you insightful conversations. Also, share our videos, comment on them, provide us with feedback so that we'll improve. I mean, we are learning. We are constantly learning. Every day is a learning process for us. So subscribe to our channel, share our videos, provide us with feedback, and we'll continue to bring you insightful conversations. We are live on TikTok. We are also live on Facebook. Tracy, kindly introduce yourself to our audience and tell us what you do before we start the show.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So, my expertise is in fashion and footwear sustainability. So, I have an expertise in product sustainability improvement and B Corp certification and engagement with the value chain or supply chain. So, making sure that partners are meeting standards in the supply chain and improving on impact reduction. So my experience has been brand side. For the last 4 years, I've worked for a responsible footwear company, and I've been doing just that on product sustainability, B Corp, and value chain engagement.
Now, having worked in the fashion industry for some time now, what are the brands doing? What are the brands doing to reduce their carbon emissions, to reduce their environmental impact? What really are they doing?
Yeah, sure. So what are responsible brands doing? Well, they're doing life cycle assessments, so understanding the impact of their products. They're also utilizing software platforms, so environmental impact management platforms to track, to assess, and to even model impact for their products against a range of environmental impact indicators, not just carbon, but water usage, things like eutrophication, going beyond just carbon as an impact indicator to more than that to understand the real impact of their product. So using software, using LCAs. On the social side of things, to ensure there is human rights due diligence done for partners in brand supply chains and value chains. They need to have code of conducts. They need to have heads of terms, and they need to do ESG auditing of these facilities, of the partners in country where they source their products to make sure that they're meeting safety standards and environmental and social standards.
But when you talk about life cycle assessments, LCA, what do you mean? Some of our viewers may not understand life cycle assessments. What do you mean by life cycle assessments?
Yeah, sure. So a life cycle assessment is the full impact a product has. So this is from the creation to either the sale of the product or to what is called the grave, so the end of life of the product. So you can get cradle to gate, which is inception of that product, producing it to the sale, or cradle to cradle, which is inception to end of life and what happens to that piece of clothing, for example, at the end of its life. So the full impact of the product. What was the impact of the machines that were used to make that product from an energy perspective? What was the impact of the raw materials that were used in that product? And what is the impact at the end of life of that product? Where does it end up?
Yeah. So, but transparency is often a huge problem within the fashion industry. Most brands are not transparent, according to news reports and many people who are into fashion. Transparency is a huge problem. So, how are brands approaching this issue uh, particularly across their value chains, and where do the biggest gaps exist?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I don't think I realized this until I was in the fashion industry. Fashion brands don't know where their products are coming from. That's the mic drop.
Yeah.
Um, they don't understand. They don't have the full transparency and traceability back to raw materials of where all the materials in their products are actually from. Um, Let me explain a little bit about tiers. So, in the fashion industry, you have tiers of partner within the supply chain. So these are different types of partners that help you to produce a product, and they're at different tier levels. So there's four kind of common tiers. I'll explain what these are, and then you can understand kind of where the opaqueness and non-transparency is. So a tier one is a facility that actually produces the product. So I worked for a footwear business. This would be the production line of where the components of the shoe are put together and you create a shoe. The tier two is the component partner. So this is where like all the materials, components get made. So a shoelace, for example, a sole, for example, this is that stage before a tier one where it's all put together. A tier three is where the raw material is spun or woven, and maybe a leather is tanned. So there's more processing at tier three level. And then tier four is the raw material. So this is your farm, your lab for synthetic material. It's where the where the ground is, where that farm is, where that land is that the material is coming from. And fashion industry, speaking generally, do not understand who is in their tier three and tier four. So it's a problem, right? Visibility to this level is where the bulk of the impact is for environmental impact, for social impact, and brands need to do more to understand that. We are now seeing brands clamor to understand who their tier three and tier four partners are. There are increasing legislations in the fashion industry to do with deforestation, to do with something called a digital product passport, which brands will have to have now for their products to show that they understand the full impacts of their products from an environmental perspective and have that traceability back to raw material level.
If you are watching us, this is the Green Transition Show. We are live on Facebook. We're also live on TikTok. If you have not subscribed to the channel, kindly go to YouTube and hit the subscribe button so that we'll continue to bring you insightful conversations. I'm Dr. Francis Tuokun. My guest is Connor Tracy, based in London, United Kingdom. Connor, the extended producer responsibility, has often been mentioned as a way of dealing with fashion waste, right? And over the years, there has been an increasing pressure, regulatory pressure on fashion producers globally. Now, could you help us understand policies such as extended producer responsibility? What does that mean? And how is it reshaping the way brands think about waste accountability?
Yeah, absolutely. So EPR, or as you say, extended producer responsibility, is a law that's being adopted by countries in the European Union, and it's aiming to shift the burden of waste from consumer back to the brand. So brands now under EPR will have to reclaim their products or they need to pay fees. Okay. So that fees that brands might pay will go towards recycling infrastructure improvements. Brands will pay more if their products are harder to recycle. So if you use more recycled material or products that are able to be recyclable, you will pay less EPR fees. So brands are aiming to improve their product and packaging right now, so they pay less fees. But yeah, as I say, the fees will go towards improved recycling infrastructure in the EU.
Many people blame Western countries for dumping their waste on the global south. So for instance, many people in Africa, Latin America, or Asia blame brands in Europe and North America for dumping their waste on African soil. What is your view on that? What is your take? What do you think about that? And some have labeled it waste colonialism. What do you think about it? Particularly that you are based in Europe, you are based in London, UK. And what do you say to that?
I agree that waste colonialism exists. One of your previous guests was speaking very well to waste colonialism. What people don't understand in countries like England that I'm in is that when you give something to a charity shop, if it likely ends up on a beach somewhere in West Africa. Um, it's sad because you think you're doing something good by giving away your clothing to a charity shop in the UK, but when that doesn't sell, or if it has one button missing, it goes straight into a big bale that people in West Africa have to buy for too much money and then have to sell, and then those garments don't last very long, and then they end up in rubbish and they end up on the beach, and it's a very sad situation. And I think just packing up our charity shop waste into bales and shipping them off to another country is not taking responsibility. Brands are not taking responsibility to reclaim their clothing, to make sure there is a repair program for their items. Their items aren't durable, right? Their items aren't built to last. It's fast fashion clothing that isn't built to last. They're not wardrobe staples for people. They're fashion trends, and people give these things away, throw away these garments, give them to charity shops, put them in big bins outside shopping centers, and don't think about it. And actually, that is having an environmental and social impact in continents like Africa.
So what do you say to European Union countries, or countries in Europe, including the UK? What would be your suggestion to governments in Europe to help deal with this problem?
I would say that EPR is the correct approach to be having, to put the emphasis back on brands to reclaim their products or make sure their products are more durable and recyclable. I think it's unjust that we are packing up and sending off our waste. It is waste. Let's not label it as anything else. Most of these garments aren't able to be sold, and they are rubbish. So yeah, it's a sad situation.
The extended producer responsibility, EPR, which you've talked about, uh, is is it a mandatory regulation, or it's voluntary? Is it voluntary in European? You mentioned that it's a law or it's a policy within the European Union. Is it mandatory, or is one of those voluntary initiatives that businesses or in the fashion industry will voluntarily adopt to deal with waste?
No, this is legislation. These are upcoming
Okay.
compliance and legislation that are coming into EU countries. Obviously, England is outside of the EU, but responsible brands should be following this, right? And if they're shipping into EU, they need to be aware. Um, yeah, there is increasing legislation, not just the EPR, but deforestation regulations that state that brands need to know exactly the coordinate location of where the raw material is coming from. They need traceability now. They need accountability, and yeah, these are coming in thick and fast. Sustainability within brands is becoming more compliance and legislation. So I think it's good progress.
And do you think this regulation is effectively implemented in the European Union? Are governments holding businesses or particularly those in the fashion industry to are they holding them responsible? Are they complying? Are businesses complying? Or is the government or our government doing enough to ensure that businesses comply with this legislation? That's the question.
I think they are going sector by sector. So fashion will be one of the first ones that is affected by EPR. But yeah, I think for all industries, food included as well, packaging and products need to be assessed to understand how you can either reclaim or use the least impactful materials possible. I can't comment on the UK government's action against it. I'm not as versed to be able to comment on that, but yeah.
Okay. If you are watching us, this is the Green Transition Show with me, Dr. Francis Tuokun. Our guest is Tracy. He's based in London, United Kingdom. Our topic is who pays for the waste that is generated within the fashion industry around the world? Is it the consumer who pays? Is it the producer who pays? And Tracy is helping us to understand all the issues within the fashion industry, particularly with regards to waste. If you are watching us for the first time, kindly subscribe to our channel on YouTube, The Green Transition Show. It is free. You can follow us on TikTok as well as Facebook and LinkedIn. We are live currently on TikTok and Facebook. Comment on our videos, share our videos so that we'll continue to bring you insightful conversations. Now, Connor, now that we have some understanding or a sense of what brands are doing in terms of the waste that they generate, what role do consumers have to play? What is the role of the consumer? We should not blame the producer all the time. As consumers, we are the consumers. What role do we have to play? And what should people be looking for when purchasing clothing?
Absolutely. I would say that brands do need to do more to educate, but consumers can play a role. Okay, so what should we be looking for when we're buying clothing? We need to only buy what's needed. Only make that purchase decision when you need to. Please don't give in to fast fashion and trends. Build a wardrobe of staple, durable products that are going to last you for a long time. And when you do make a decision that you need to buy a piece of clothing or footwear, please choose a responsible brand. Look out for sustainable materials, for durable items, for wardrobe staples. But there is an education gap, and I just want to emphasize that that education gap exists. Consumers or customers, people, they don't know what a sustainable material is. Okay. Brands aren't doing enough to educate people on what these materials are. Because I've been in the industry, understand that an organic cotton is better than a conventional cotton, that a recycled polyester is better than a conventional polyester, that leathers have a leather working group certification standard against them of a bronze, silver, and gold, and you can understand how good the leather sourcing is. I think consumers need to understand these certifications, educate themselves, and understand when they look on a product page before they click that buy button and move to cart. Have you had a look about under what the materials are and seen the certifications? Because brands, they'll greenwash in marketing. They'll be vague about their environmental claims, but they will be liable for fines if they include on a product page that they have a certification that they don't. And they'll be liable to fines if they greenwash in their marketing. So you just have to be really critical, do your research when you are going to buy an item, and make sure that you're making the best decision that you can.
You mentioned greenwashing. Some of our audience may not understand what greenwashing means. Can you explain greenwashing to our audience?
Yeah, of course. So you have greenwashing, you have nature washing, you have lots of different terms now. Greenwashing is when you make a vague environmental claim for the purposes of marketing so that a customer makes a purchase. It exaggerates the environmental impact reduction or benefit that the brand is stating to have. And it's either vague, misleading, or it's just incorrect. And it's happened more and more. There's been a green claims code that the UK government has tried to advise businesses in the UK on, so that they are aware of what green washing means and how that could look. Sometimes brands do it unintentionally. I worked for a brand that included in their sustainability report all the times on the website that they'd unintentionally greenwashed. So it's a challenge for brands. It's a challenge for consumers to understand what's right and what's wrong. And yeah, it's just having the knowledge to be able to understand, okay, that's a global organic recycled, you know, this is the standard, this is the certification that I can see on the product page for this material, and I can be confident in that. So I would look at that in detail at product materiality before making purchases.
What are your final words to our audience?
My final words. Okay. I would say just spend thoughtfully, spend with slow fashion brands. Look at items that you can repair with the brand you're purchasing from, or purchase from secondhand retail sites. Be conscious that you're not just giving rubbish away to charity shops or donation bins. I would also say, beyond the product materiality, that customers can look for other certifications about a business, about a fashion business. So B Corp, for example, I mentioned that I did this at my last role. And B Corp certification recognizes that a business is a responsible business. It doesn't just apply to the fashion industry. Any business can become a B Corp. But if you're a B Corp, you're a business that's a force for good, that is putting environmental and social improvement on the same level as making profit. So buy with B Corps, buy responsibly. Yeah, that's some final thoughts for you.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming to the show, Connor.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, Francis. I've enjoyed it.
Yes, that was an insightful conversation with Connor Tracy, who is based in London, on who pays for fashion waste. We thank him. We also thank our audience for tuning in and for watching us from wherever they are. This is the Green Transition Show. If you have not subscribed to the channel on YouTube, kindly do so. Comment on our videos, give us feedback. You can also follow us on TikTok, LinkedIn, and on Facebook as well. Thank you so much. We hope to see you again this weekend.